Hi guys, welcome to Miss L Creations. I cannot tell you how excited I am for today. So today is going to be a mold making day. I know it doesn't do with resin or crafting or any of that sort of stuff, but these are things I do behind the scenes to try and make items and make content, obviously, for you. But it's how I make stuff behind scenes to try and keep things as low cost as I can. I don't make enough money to pay for all the materials that I have, so I need to keep my financial stuff in check. And in order to do that, when I get a mold, when I get an item that I really like, we're going to use these little turtles for example. I got this mold. I don't know where it came from. I believe I ordered it from Temu. I'm pretty sure that's where I got it, because back when Temu, before the tariff stuff, everything was so cheap that I bought a lot of my craft supplies from Temu. It is not marked. I don't know who made this mold. If you go on the internet and look up miniature turtles, you're going to find 9 million people that sell these things. So they're out there. They're everywhere. And I have made my share of these adorable little turtles. I've got slugs of them. They're all over my craft room. And I put them in orders. If anybody that orders resin stuff as freebies, I put tacks on the back so you can put them in corkboard. I put magnets in the back. I make earrings, pendants, all the good stuff with them. So as you can tell, this mold has just about worn out its last usage. When they start turning into this white into the inside, they're getting close to the end of their lifespan. I love this thing. Now, I have tried to make a mold with these little guys in it. Unfortunately, when you make a mold, for those of you that have done this, they never come out perfect. They're called hand cut molds because you're gonna have to trim. You either have to under pour them so that you don't have that top that we have used our little cuticle cutters to go around the edge to trim these up, but you're always going to have to trim it because the molds, anyways, for me, because this is not a machine cut mold, it is never going to be as nice, and you're never going to get the perfect turtle like you do on this one. Okay, so in the wee hours of the morning before I go to work at 3:30 in the morning while I'm laying in bed grumping at my alarm, I sit there and go, how do they do this on a machine? Is it done with a machine? I don't know how it's done, but there's got to be a way that we can mimic this look and not have all of that work of cutting around all those little bitty legs. Because when I make a mold, especially this mold, I go, oh God, I don't want to make this mold. But in order to save money, we do what we have to. So this is just a little box that I get my pendant. This is the clasps for my pendants. They come in these little boxes most of the time. And so I have one of those, and I usually, what I do, and this little guy, well, both of these are actually already glued in there, is I'll go through here and I'll glue my best turtles. I'll glue my best turtles down to this, and then I I spray it with the, what is this, mold release. I spray it with mold release, and then I pour my silicone in over the top of it, and then let it cure, and then when it comes out, it never fails that you get silicone going underneath his little feet and his head, and so you have all of this trimming to do of all of these. It's a very painful process. It's very agitating. It's very aggravating. So those of you that make molds and sell them online, God bless you, because I don't have the patience for that until now. So what I wanted to do is I'm laying there in bed at 3:30 in the morning, and I thought there's got to be a way to do this without the painstaking and imperfect way of cutting out the edge. There's got to be a better way. So this is what I came up with. And it worked. I'm so excited. All right, so this is the little glass, or the front piece of our piggy bank. We made it a couple of days ago. It is super shallow. It's not very deep, but it's silicone, and that's what I need. Okay, and the first thing I'm gonna do, and I've done this a couple of ways. So I have hot glued this to my silicone. Did not work. I ended up with so much stuff underneath. It was not cool, and it didn't hold all the time. So what I have found, and I don't want to permanently glue that to it because I use this. Like, obviously, I just made that little piggy bank a couple of days ago. And so what I have found to be the best thing to do, and I need to clean the back of this off, you need to make sure that you're starting with 2 clean molds, your mold that you want to make, and the whatever you're using. And you could do this in a Tupperware bowl, you could do this in anything. It doesn't have to be one of these. I'm just using this because it actually turns out perfect. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some resin, and I'm just using UV resin because it's quick. And I'm going to go around the entire bottom of this silicone piece here. It doesn't have to be a lot. I just want this to be super thin, but I do want it to connect, especially around my edges. So I am going to make sure I go out close to the edges. It doesn't have to be on the edge because it will, we'll get it there. But you want enough resin that this entire bottom is going to suction down to this piece here. And then I'm just going to try and get that as close to center as I possibly can. And I'm going to push it down. And you can see the resin popping out on the sides, and that's okay. You can clean it up if you want to, but actually I'm going to. I'm just gonna use my finger. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be decent. Because remember, this is just your master mold. So I guess in that sense, you really do want it to be as close to perfect as you can. But it only needs to be perfect for this piece here that we're actually going to form. All right, so I got that pushed down nice and tight. Make sure my mold is nice and clean, and it is. And then I'm going to grab a UV light. And don't look into this. Please make sure that you're using, wearing UV glasses or something. You do not want to look directly into a UV light. You can put it on that glass piece as well between the two. Now I'm going to push this down because I want it to adhere to that piece. And I'm going to hold this for a few seconds because it does take a couple seconds. Sorry, that's my grand dog Baxter. He always has to come say hello to you guys. I just want to hold this here for a few seconds while this cures. And then I'm going to let it run for a full 3 minutes to get fully cured onto our silicone. The silicone to the silicone. All right. Now that we have done that, I cannot tell you how excited I am. I cannot tell you how excited I am. All right. Now that this is cured, and I just gently pick it up and it's lifting the whole thing, so I know we're okay. I do not want to break that bond, so don't mess around with it. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to take a cup. And now I typically use these cups from Epoxy Stick. They're super cheap on Amazon, but the lip of this is too big. It doesn't fit down inside of my mold. So I went through all of my cups and I found one cup that fits down inside of here. I am going to try and find this on Amazon. I think I have found the one that it is. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll link it down in the description below when I figure it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a knife and I'm just going to I'm just going to cut. All we want is this bottom portion. Yes, this has been used. It's been used for resin. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the only cup I have that fits in there, so I'm going to make it work, by golly gee whiz. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the perimeter of this cup, give myself 1.5 inches, 2 inches of cup that we're keeping. This portion here we're throwing away. This doesn't have to be pretty because you're not going to fill it up to this point. I don't want it that bad. Good Lord. I have my Class A CDL. I am a professional driver. Apparently I can't cut a straight line, but I can drive one, I promise. Oh my goodness. A little more. There we go. All right. So we're going to throw this portion away. I don't need it. This portion, I'm going to stick down inside of our mold. I'm going to press it down as best I can. It's just a little bit of a loose fit. I don't care. It's going to be perfect. The next portion is extremely important. I'm going to take UV resin. Now you could use hot glue. I don't trust hot glue. You could. Is it going to ruin my mold though? I don't know that. And it's not worth ruining my mold for. And I know UV resin is made for this kind of stuff. For molds, I mean. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to go around the entire perimeter of this mold, or of this cup. And I am going to seal it into this mold with UV resin. Now you can say, Kathy, you are totally wasting that resin. And you're absolutely right. It is absolutely good for nothing except for sealing this. And that's okay for me because I want a mold that I don't have to cut. I'm sick and tired of cutting their little feet out and making them look like duck feet with the little points on them instead of little turtle feet. And they're nice and round. So I don't cut well. As most of you know, I have trimmers, and this is awful for those of us that do. Cutting little micro details, minor details like that. That's terrible for people with trimmers. That's just, we don't do well with our fine motor stuff because our trimmers just get the best of us. So all I'm doing is going around and I'm just popping any bubbles that might be between the lip of the cup. No. Shush. And our mold. And somebody's gonna grump at me. He needs to go outside. You're right, he does. But you know what he does when he goes outside? He barks at the neighbor dog. So then all you hear in the background is him yapping. So he's spoiled. I don't know if you can hear the neighbor dog barking, but that's exactly what's happening. All right, I have popped all the bubbles around the edge, and I'm gonna take my light. And again, do not look directly into this light. That is dangerous. Terrible for your eyes. And I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna get the other side of the lamp, and we're gonna do the other side, and we're gonna let this cure. All right. Now that this has cured, we can move on to the next step. This is just a light from jagged. It's a double-sided lamp. I really like this one. You don't have to have them plugged in order to use them both together. So be super careful. Again, don't look directly into UV lamp lights. That is extremely dangerous. It's terrible for your eyes. So please make sure you're wearing eye protection and don't look into them directly. Anyhow, so these two pieces work independently of each other. They work together, obviously, with the plexiglass in between. And I like that you can also plug this into the wall and I can still use it while it's plugged in. So I really, really, really like this, that lamp. And you're going to ask me what's wrong with my plexiglass or glass or whatever this is. It's got to be plexiglass. It sits in between the two. This is a sheet that I probably got off of some stickers or something. It's got a little self-adhesive there and it sealed this package shut. I just unfolded it and I slid my plexiglass inside of the packaging. And this way the light still penetrates from both sides, but I'm protecting my plexiglass so that it lasts a little bit longer. Because I know that those can get pretty messy in the machine. All right, so the next step we have to do is get whatever's in my mold out. Oh man, what is in there? One piece of glitter. There we go. All right, and I did go ahead and I sealed it or sprayed it with mold release. Make sure you do that in a well-ventilated area or preferably outside so that you're not breathing that in. It's a spray paint, essentially. That smell is just like a spray paint. All of our stuff is sealed together. I went ahead and mixed up a couple of ounces of resin. I just added some pink dye to it or alcohol ink to it just to give it a color so that I can hopefully see bubbles a little better. I didn't color it so that you could not see through it. I want to make sure that you can. This is just so that I can make sure that my casting is going to be as flawless as humanly possible. And you want it to be super flawless inside the turtle. Once you get outside the turtle, it's not so much of a big deal, but I mean, one thing before we let this cure on its own is I want to go through and make sure there are no bubbles in this. Oop. And if we see any bubbles, we get them out now because, again, this is our master mold. I don't see anything else. It looks good. So now we're going to let it fully cure. You want to make sure this is on a level station, on a level table, because especially if you have a mold that you can make and sell, you want this to be able to set on a table fully level. Oh, there's one right there. Going around and double checking, especially the feet and the tail. No, I think I'm good. I don't see anything down in the back. All right. Anyways, you want to make sure that this is completely level, because when you go to pour the mold, you want to make sure that it can set on a flat table and not be lopsided. So I know that for a fact that my table does need something under it on this side, because it's not 100% level. It is pretty close, but it's not 100%. Just a super skinny coffee stick is all it takes to make that level. All right, we are going to be back to unmold this, and we'll show you the next step. So, I'm so excited. You have no idea how excited I am. All right. I may have to cut that. I'm not sure how this is. Let me put my gloves back on. That's more better. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get our mold. So don't forget we have a thin layer of UV resin around the bottom of this. So I'm just going to run my knife around the edge of the mold very carefully, although this knife probably wouldn't cut anything. It's so dull. But safety first. So we got a super thin layer of our UV resin. And then we just need to get the edge of our silicone. Be super careful because this is our original and we don't want to mess it up. I'm just going to pull that out. And there we go. There's our little turtle mold. And then my last mold, yeah, this isn't going to come out either. It's not. It's okay. So what I did on the last one, I just cut down the side. Well, can I peel it off? Because remember, we don't necessarily need this anymore. Because now this resin is our new mold. Okay, I'm just going to cut it off because I don't want to ruin my mold. And then when it cools, maybe it'll come off because my resin's still a little bit warm. And I do not want to ruin my resin. And if I just cut this super close to the resin, or at the resin line actually, because our resin, remember, is level. I just cut the end of my finger, my glove. And then once my mold cures 100%, the resin, once the resin molds 100%, we can try and get this off of there, but I don't think it's probably going to come off, which I don't care because all we want is to be able to pour the silicone in here. So we're going to pour the silicone in, and this is going to be our permanent mold maker for our silicone molds. Super excited. All right, we'll be right back. All right. Our silicone is fully cured, and I'm just going to take this knife that we've been using all day, and the pointed side is that way, so I'm going to run the dull side backwards around the silicone just to break the seal on the edge. And we sprayed that, remember, with release, so it should come out pretty easy. And then I'm just going to pop the edge up a little bit so I can get a hold of it. I lost it. Here we go. I'm going to use something that's not sharp so we don't ruin our new mold. And I'm just working that popsicle stick. There we go. Now I can get a hold of it. There we go. Our mold matches 100% to our old mold. What do you think? I love it. And I know this works over and over and over again because this is my third time making one. Isn't that amazing? I love this. I cannot believe, and I love it. I'm so excited. Oh, and you know what's funny? The first person I can't wait to tell or show, and she may already know it, is Michelle over at Glitz and Glitter, because I know when she makes mold, she talks about all the time about how the edges, they're hand cut molds, so you can never pour these, you can never dome them because they're hand cut molds. And now you can, because I have an exact replica of the original. I wonder, should we make some? And then I can show you that they are exactly, yeah, let me make up a small batch. We're gonna make a small batch out of one of these. They're all exactly the same. They all came out of this. I actually have two of them now. So this was my original one, and this is the one that I just made with you guys. So let's go ahead and pour these, and we'll double check and make sure that they are, you can dome them safely and not have to worry about trimming them, and that they're going to turn out okay. And yeah, let me get some resin mixed up and we'll be right back. Staying true to our pink theme today. Everything has been pink. Well, as far as our molds and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour one of our new molds. Doesn't matter which one. And I mixed up like, I don't know, half an ounce. So it's not going to take very much. Actually, that's one we just did. It's still a little on the warm side. I'm going to pour this one. And the joy of making your own molds is now you can spray them with alcohol, knowing that they're not going to have as long of a lifespan, but you're going to get the best mold or the best cast in the resin that you possibly can. This looks like Pepto-Bismol. And I want to make this just so that it just barely goes over the top, so that we can get a good test out of it. So we want to dome it just like that. Oh, that one can use another drop. It's hard to dome these because I haven't been doming them for so long out of my hand cut molds. So I do have some extra here. I'm going to go ahead and pour it into something else, and then we will be back once it's cured. And now to unmold these. I am so excited. We used a 15 on the mold, so it's nice and soft. Oh, these are perfect. Nothing to trim. They came out just like the originals. Yay! I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Oh, if you guys have ever poured anything in a hand-cut mold, you'll appreciate how perfect these little turtles are. And these are just a bunch of butterflies that I poured with the leftover resin. I just added some rainbow, Malibu rainbow ink to them, so it got them a really nice little shimmer shine. And these are coming out perfect. This mold I actually made in that same casing that I showed you at the beginning that we had our turtles glued to. I just glued a bunch of these little butterflies into that and poured silicone over those and got this wonderful little mold with all these pretty little butterflies. These are super, super thin. I don't remember where I got these butterflies, but I got gobs of them. And so I just made this mold from them, and they're super cute. That does it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Creations.